Today, we're going to make a solid, strong, manly-looking Redguard in Oblivion Remastered. There's actually a lot of settings to change around on this one, and you will get some really good results. I'm on PC, and I'm not using any mods. Let's get to it. Today, we are doing male Redguard for Oblivion Remastered. And so here's our finished product here, the male Redguard. I'll talk about him and show all of the, we'll go to the character creation here, and I'll show you all of the settings and everything, all the presets on the face sliders. Try to make a pretty basic, I think he's a basic average looking Redguard you could work from with no super prominent features or anything like that, but I think it's a real basic, yeah. So let's go here and we'll talk about him some more. And of course, I have some footage of him outside that we'll show throughout this, and of course at the end as well, so you can see the finished product. Because it can't always see them the best from here in the character creator because the lighting is so darn bad in this dungeon. But here we have our male Redguard. Now, when I was creating him, the thing I was like picturing in my head, I was picturing, you know, he's from the Alakir Desert, he's a sword master, you know, all the typical Redguard like stuff was in my head. And so that's where I went with this. And yeah, so anyway, starting here, going screen by screen, starting here. I moved his skin tone up a little bit. I darkened it just so it was darker brown and less red, I guess, you know, just darkened it a little bit. Moving onto head. And just starting with, we'll just go from left to right here. So starting with the brow, here's the brow settings that we've got. And I actually moved all of those bars. And actually that's true for all of his presets everywhere. I moved every single bar. The ones that are at 0 is because they got moved back to 0 because, anyway, yeah. So here's these right here. Now moving down to cheeks. I worked to kind of mostly keep his cheeks. His cheeks are largely the same way they were. I messed around a little bit, but kind of left him largely the same way. So here's these right here. Pause this and screenshot it or whatever, whenever we're on one of these screens. Cheeks, I messed around a little bit, and the only thing I ended up really doing was, or sorry, not cheeks, chin. We were on cheeks. Yeah, that's my bad. Okay, chin. The only thing I did, because most of the, I messed a lot with his jaw and his face. But just here, the only thing I did was I just wanted to push his chin out a bit. I felt by default it was not, so there we go. It's the only thing I actually did there. Eyes, we made a little smaller. I moved him up a little bit. And outward tilt, which I thought fit the look I was going for here. So there's his eye settings. All right, face, I messed around with these a little bit. I moved all the bars. The last two ended up back on 0. But, so here's where the face settings are. Now, generally, I do this last. In his case, I definitely did this last. After I got everything designed, I used this to kind of move everything where it was. But after doing these kind of settings, because these change several parts of the face at once, you generally want to go back and retouch everything. And I did, actually. After this, I went back and retouched his nose, just kind of showing you like the order I did everything in. I pretty much did everything and then this. And then I went back and had to retouch the nose, but regardless, here's these settings here. Forehead. I guess I didn't do anything. Well, apparently not. These are all 0. So there we go. Jaw, definitely changed some stuff to make it wider, more convex, because I also made his cheekbones wider, which will, I guess we already got to that. Wait, let me flick back up here real quick. Yeah, I'm sure I showed you all this. I just want to make sure. Sometimes I miss these. But anyway, yeah, so I made his cheekbones a little higher and more pronounced. So with the jaw, you know, I'll stay here now so you can see this screen. Here on jaw, I widened his jaw a bit to fit with that. So you can see. All right, mouth and nose. This is where most of, you know, in Oblivion Remastered, this is where most of your face comes from. These have the most settings here. For instance, your eyes, you can't change the eyes. There's no settings to change the shape of the eyes whatsoever. You can only make them smaller or larger, basically, right? Well, mouth or nose, here's where all the settings are to really change the face. So here's the top half mouth. Mouth settings, and then here's the bottom. So I didn't really touch his lips. I didn't want to touch his lips. They were fine the way they were. For the Redguard race, that was fine. I wanted to broaden his mouth a bit, which I did. I broadened his mouth a bit, and then I did a bit of downward turn because drawing it out kind of raised the corners. So that's most of the changes there. And then the overbite just a little bit because other things offset that. Nose. Yeah, I changed his nose quite a bit. I wanted to keep the Redguard like shape of his nose, but partly in changing the face and other things, I wanted to also reshape it. I didn't want to leave it exactly as it was. So here's the top portion of the nose settings. And then here's the middle portion of the nose settings right here. Didn't touch the nostrils. That's the only part I didn't touch. And then here's the bottom part. But I messed with all the rest of it. I think the nose is the part I messed with the most on his face. So, yeah, I wanted to kind of give the wherefore and why for all this stuff, too. All right, moving on to the tone. I left the eyes default. I think they look the best. Just that first option there. For skin, okay. So here, this gets brought up every video, and I finally decided this is a glitch, which I have addressed this in some of the previous videos in comments or replies to comments. Every time, this is a positive number, but the bar is to the left of the thing. This is some kind of glitch because I never moved this bar down here. This should be up here. It's a glitch that moves that bar. And it happens when you reload the game. For some reason, when you reload the game, it flips this on the other side, but this number stays accurate. So go by the number, not the bar, okay? Anyway, I moved these up a bit just for some shading around his eyes, which I usually do move those two up a bit, and I did there. No skin tint. Makeup, as usual, I turn his lipstick off because they start you off. Can you believe that's how they start your male character? It looks kind of ridiculous when you turn it on, huh? You're like, wow, I didn't even notice how dark that was. Yeah, when you turn it off, you're like, oh, wow, yeah. So I think some people might miss that. I think it's really crazy. They start you off with this pink lipstick like you're freaking Barbie or something. No. Anyway, turn that off, right? Sorry, I always have to go off about that because it's so crazy. That bright lipstick they start you with. I added a little eyeshadow. I added this color right here just for shading on the eyelids, which I think just overall better for the eye sockets there, darker. So there's that. Yeah, I always have to go off about the lipstick. I think it's hilarious. They start your man off with lipstick. Okay, right. So hair, I liked this right here. Again, I thought like he lives in the desert. He's a blade master. This hair really spoke to me. They all look good. Choose whatever you want, of course. This is my guide to a decent looking Redguard. I liked this one. I had him with this one for a while, but I decided I liked the headband. Yeah. So there's that, and I did turn the length up. Does the length do anything with this particular hairstyle? Yeah, a little bit. I'm gonna turn it here. That's really not super specific. But I did have it up all the way, to be fair. Yeah, no big deal. More hair. Right, so that... Oh, color. Oh, this is actually important. For the color, to get it darker, you want to... I selected this here, and then that. Take both of these, then select this one, select this, and then that. So yeah, it starts off here by default. You want to click here and then click back here. It'll make your hair darker. This actually gets his hair black. It starts off brown. That's how you get their hair actually black. I didn't touch any of these. And there you go. There's your Redguard, your basic good Redguard. So tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. A lot of you guys asked for a good Redguard design. I think this is really good. Basic starting point. Like I said, a lot of the faces that I featured in the videos on my channel, most of them, they don't have any specific prominent feature. Like people in real life have prominent features. Some people may have a different nose. He may have a really distinctive chin or something like that. This is really basic. You know, I would love to do some very, well, what's the word? Custom faces for certain things. And I've done one. That's why I did that one, the Dark Elf Merchant. You know, I wanted to do something that was unique. I might do more unique faces, but this is I just made this as a generally handsome Redguard. Let's check him out here. It looks pretty good. Yeah, there we go. There's your Redguard. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. I will catch you next time. Don't forget to subscribe and follow along and tell me what you think, you know. I appreciate all the comments and views on the videos so far, and I look forward to bringing more to you. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll catch you next time.